All right. Thank you all for being here. I am so excited to share with you guys tonight because Plexus has been such a blessing to my family. Um, and especially my teenagers. Oh, I see Mary Carolyn. There she is. So I'm going to start with myself here. I'm a mom of four. I'm a personal trainer. I am a cross-country coach, and I'm a Plexus Emerald ambassador. And quick summary of how I found Plexus. I struggled with really bad irritable bowel syndrome my whole life and tried pretty much everything under the sun to help me. Even tried several probiotics. Nothing really worked. I figured I just was going to have a messed up stomach for my whole life. So therefore I said, no, that Plexus stuff won't work. For about 2 years, I said, no, thank you, to one of my best friends. Finally, she said, Amy, just try it. And I did, and noticed changes within my first month, positive changes. And the rest is history. I started the gut health combo the next month, and about 4 to 5 months later realized, holy cow, I don't struggle with my stomach at all anymore. If this can help me, this can help everybody. So I started shouting it from the rooftops. I also wanted my family on it right away. I remember having the thought, I don't ever want my kids to struggle like I've struggled. So they're starting on ProBio 5. So even Wesley and Caroline, they were so little I had to pour it in the yogurt at first. But and around that time, so I'm jumping in right here to the teens in Plexus, around that time, Ashley had been on Vyvanse for her ADHD and was really struggling to maintain weight. So it was always a challenge with the Vyvanse. And when I realized the ProBio was helping me and I was reading these stories about it helping kids with ADHD, I was like, well, let's just try the ProBio, right? Let's just try the ProBio, Ashley. Let's not do the Vyvanse. So we did the ProBio. I remember it was the second semester of, I believe, 4th grade. So she wasn't quite a teenager yet. That was her first semester of straight A's, which was amazing. She also wasn't sick that entire semester, not one day missed of school. So we have not looked back since then. She never started back on the Vyvanse. She has stayed on the ProBio, and she has added other products to help her with her ADHD. And I'm happy to say she is an A student. She is a junior and is an A student. So she also takes the active. The active drink is an all-natural, healthy, super healthy energy drink that helps with focus, hydration, recovery. It's amazing for athletes. Side note, most of her team, she is a very serious swimmer. Most of her team takes active also. I remember the first time she drank an active, it was shortly after it came out a few years ago. She drank an active at a meet and she dropped in every event, had very nice, I call them PRs, personal records. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is amazing. And then the next meet, again, more drops. And Mike said to me, is this stuff legal? But it's amazing. It's hard to describe the active energy, but it's like a very happy energy. That's not, you're not jittery, there's no crash, there's not that, we don't have any chemicals in it, not that we have all natural caffeine from green tea extract. So it is like the best energy you can get. All 4 of my kids drink it. So Ashley drinks it during high school. She drinks it before practice. Scott starts his day with an active every day. I always call him my little old man. He has always liked hot tea, hot coffee, even as a kid. So he was having hot tea every morning. He switched that over to hot active about a year ago. Every morning he has a hot active. And go figure, since starting that, his grades have been a lot better. So there we go again with the focus. The hydrate, they both love the hydrate. They are both athletes. Scott's a runner. I said Ashley's a swimmer. I've never been a fan of the ingredients in Gatorade, Body Armor, Liquid IV. So I've been hoping for years that Plexus would come out with a product, a hydration product. So when Hydrate came out, I guess it's been a few years ago now, I was so happy. So my whole family loves Hydrate. It's as clean as you can get, and it tastes good too. So they drink the Hydrate. Lean, I'm looking at my notes, and lean is the only word in my notes, all capitals. Both of my teenagers have at least 2 scoops of lean a day. We have our teenagers are prone to being thin in this house. All of our kids are prone to being thin. The lean has been amazing for helping them gain weight and maintain weight. I mean, Scott just had a shake after dinner, a lean shake. Ashley puts the lean in her oatmeal every day. We always have protein balls in the fridge. Lean is an amazing product. I also need to mention the Joyome. They love the Joyome. They love the Joyome even more than me. I make it a priority that they do not run out of Joyome, because when they do, they freak out because they start to notice that kind of normal teenage skin happening. But when they are consistent with their Joyome, the Joyome is our skincare, when they are consistent with their Joyome, it's just a nighttime cream and a daytime cream in the morning. So daytime cream in the morning, nighttime cream at night. They don't break out, and they love it. So Joyome's been a huge blessing for them and for me. We have never had to go to the dermatologist. ProBio also helps with that, because healthy gut, healthy skin. I did want to mention, none of my kids have ever struggled with constipation, thank goodness. But I did want to share, I have helped several kids and teenagers with constipation with a triplex combo, or even just ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. One of my favorite things to do is to help kids poop. It breaks my heart when I hear about a kid that can't poop. That should not be happening. I love to help people poop, but especially kids. It's very fulfilling. So, and when I have somebody tell me their kid doesn't poop, I'm like, oh my gosh, let me help you. So I did want to share that. And that I'm going to stop there, because we have 3 other amazing stories tonight. I did want to say stick around at the end if you want to hear some more science about these products that I mentioned. I will share the science once everybody shares, and I will also open it up for questions. So I am going to pass the microphone off to Mary Carolyn, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Take it away.
Okay. So I want to apologize first for being in my car. My oldest daughter got into an accident, and now I'm doing a lot more driving than I usually do, because she became my driver for a while. But anyway, my talk is pretty short, but I just want to give you a little backstory. I had horrible endometriosis when I was a teenager, like absolutely awful. Like I can tell you story after story of missing out on life because I had crippling pain and Advil didn't even touch it. And I was just laying in the bed crying and being miserable. And I actually did some sort of short math, and I think over the course of my life, I have spent 360 days, so almost exactly a year, in pain from that. So when I had my 2 girls, I really, really hoped they would not have the same problem. One of them seems to have escaped it. She can pop an Advil and be fine for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, my other daughter did inherit my problems. And one day she was lying on the bathroom floor and crying because she always throws up. Every time she gets her period, she throws up from the pain and the awfulness of the whole situation. So she's crying, and she was asking me how I can help her and begging me to help her, which is never something a mom wants to have to deal with. And Amy Morton popped into my head. I had an ablation several years ago, so even though I've been taking Plexus for years and years, it never occurred to me that it could help with period pain. So I texted Amy while we were standing in the bathroom, and I said, what can we do? And she said, put her on a triplex. So I ordered the triplex right there, And because Plexus's shipping is magical, I had the triplex for her in my hand 2 days later, and we put her on that. And I can say she's been on it for 3 months now, and I can say with absolute certainty that she is 100 times better. She doesn't throw up anymore. Her pain is like half of what it used to be. She can take Advil, because Advil used to not touch it. It didn't even touch the pain. And I know that from myself too. She can take 2 Advil and be fine. And I actually, she's a teenager. She's not totally consistent, but I'm hoping as we take it longer and her body starts to heal and she's more consistent, that we'll get even better. But honest to goodness, even if we stay where we are, where she's not throwing up and she's not in horrible pain that makes her miss out on life. I think Amy said this earlier. I wish I had something like Plexus, but I am so incredibly grateful that I found it for my kiddo, because nobody wants to watch their daughters lying on the bathroom floor crying and not be able to help them. So all my kids are on Plexus, but she is the only one on the full triplex because of that situation. But I love every aspect of it. I swear we don't get as sick as we used to. Oh, moodiness. That has also helped. If you have a teenager, you know that they are moody anyway. So add in an extreme period and it makes it even worse. And her moodiness is nothing compared to what it used to be. So that alone is a reason to put her on the triplex. I think that's everything. Yes, I think that's everything I wanted to say and that I told Amy would say. Amy, I am so grateful that you introduced me to triplex. And I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to pass it on to someone, but I don't remember who.
Me.
Okay. Sorry. Hi.
That's okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna. I am a pediatric nurse, have been for a long time, and I'm a mom of 2 athlete scout boys. And I know this session is about teens and Plexus, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of background of how we got here. So bear with me. I am going to talk about Plexus in a second. Several years ago, I was really, really focused on food additives. I made a lot of my own foods. I was a constant label studier, but then we had kids, jobs changed, budget changed, schedules. We got further and further and further away from that. And it got really easy to fall into the world of quick and convenience foods. And at first it bothered me because I knew what some of those ingredients were. But then as more time passed and life got more like life, it was just harder and harder, and it became our norm. And I got to the point where I didn't really think about it anymore. Fast forward to several years of that, and my husband and I found ourselves in health and weight situations where we just didn't really like where we were. Didn't like how we felt, didn't like how we looked. We just knew it was time for change. So he made a big diet change, and I just felt like that was not the plan that he went with. I just didn't think was going to be the right thing for the boys and I to do. At the time, I was working in a liver and nutrition clinic with one of our children's hospitals. I still do. I was there today. So I told the boys, I was like, we need to really practice what I preach. In the liver clinic that I'm in, it's outpatient pre-transplant. So the majority of our patients have what's called NAFLD, NAFLD, or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And people really freak out when they hear that I'm dealing with kids. I had a child today that was 3, y'all, 3 to 18 plus, that have liver disease. And it's all a lifestyle issue, 80% of them. You eat sugary foods, your body converts that sugar into fat. That fat gets stored in your liver. If you do that a lot, then that's a lot of fat getting stored in your liver. If you're active, some of that fat's going to get burned off. But if you're not active and you lead a really sedentary lifestyle, that fat's just going to keep compounding in your liver. And unfortunately, with NAFLD, it's really kind of a silent disease and nobody knows that it's happening. Usually these kids get sent to our clinic because they've had labs drawn for something else. And then the pediatrician goes, oh, your liver numbers look crazy. What is happening? Because there's not really many symptoms until you really get far gone. And I see these kids in our clinic and we teach them over and over again. It's really about lifestyle. And I spend all day saying, you've got to cut back on your sugary drinks. They need to be a treat, not the norm. You know, you can't have, I mean, some of these people drink sugar drinks all day long and never touch water at all. So their discharge goal is drink 2 glasses of water a day sometimes. Dessert's not an everyday thing. Watch portion sizes, be mindful of your carb intake. You know, protein and fiber help you feel good, help you feel full longer. Um, and so getting my boys really in that mindset as well was great, and hearing them make those choices. And they're athletic and they really were not in any kind of damage, but we just knew we were starting to head in a bad direction. So we made those nutrition changes. They were already active, so they had that going on. And I could tell I was starting to feel a lot better, just not as good as I wanted to. And one day I saw a friend post about her Plexus products, and I called her. She got me some samples. I started using it. I started feeling better. I started really liking the way I felt. So, you know, kind of like Amy said, once you started realizing that, hey, this is great stuff, I did some more research on it. I really liked the ingredients. And from way back when I was a label reader, I knew right off the bat what some of those ingredients were and how really good those labels are on our Plexus products. So once I really got to that point of comfort and realizing how great I felt, I wanted to start sharing it with my family. And of course, teenage boys, mine are 13 and 17. I got a lot of eye rolling, and oh, mom just wants us to try her new weird thing. You know, they just thought I was trying to give them who knows what. But so I gave them some active, and they were kind of like, yeah, that's not bad. And then they tried it again, and they were like, oh, this is really pretty good. And they both said, you know, they got that little energy burst. And like Amy was saying, it's kind of a clean, quick sort of energy feeling, and there's not that drop off afterwards. There's none of that sluggish, hangovery feeling later. It's just a nice, fresh boost. And then I gave them hydrate. And they decided to mix the two. That's their favorite combo, is they will mix a hydrate and an active together. And we started very quickly. I was like, oh, we're going to get rid of all these other products that we used to use. Because every time I bought those products for them, I hated the ingredients. I knew the sugars were really high and awful. I knew some things had a lot of high levels of bad caffeine in them. And so I hated it, but I really kind of didn't think there was much of an alternative, and I didn't really know what else to do, but we needed something before and after games. So we fell into that, you know, easy trap. So I very quickly started getting rid of all that stuff, and I started putting hydrate and active in their water bottles before games, and they would say how good they felt, and they played really well. And so that quickly became our norm. In fact, my 17-year-old played in a basketball tournament, and they were playing 3 to 4 games a day. And when we were packing to travel for that, he was like, Mom, make sure you pack enough hydrate and actives that I'm going to have to last me through all these games for this tournament. So that was my big turning point in victory when he asked me to make sure I packed that for him. I was really excited. I was like, yes. And of course, it's easy to pack. I didn't have to bring a cooler into the games. I just brought these handy little packets, and he had his one water bottle, and he found a water fountain, and he could just reuse his same water bottle and drop a packet in there. So it was much easier for travel with that and to get around and go into competitions, because I didn't have to worry about bringing 19 bottles of Gatorade with me. I just threw a Ziploc baggie of packets in my purse, and it was great. And then my oldest also has decided it's time for him to bulk up and gain weight. And so I talked to Amy. He had been using a protein powder that somebody else had given him. And I looked at the label, and I was like, oh, there's so much garbage in here, son. Yuck, yuck. So I was like, you need to try my lean. And of course, the name threw him off. He was like, Mom, I'm bulking up. Not trying to lose weight and get skinny. Not trying to be a mom. I'm bulking. I'm a teenage boy. And I was like, just drink it. So I fixed him a shake, and at first he was kind of hesitant about it. And then he drank another one, and he was like, yeah, that's kind of okay. And then finally I was like, how's it compare to what you had been drinking? And he was like, oh, it's definitely better than that. That was terrible. But now it is totally his norm. He has an active and a hydrate. They both have active and hydrate before practice, game, gym, any kind of physical activity. And then my older one always has a lean shake afterwards, and he has at least one lean shake a day, sometimes more, depending on what activities he's doing. In fact, he recently had his wisdom teeth out, and for the first 2 days, he was only allowed to have liquids, and he really hates soups and broths. So guess what he ate for 2 days? Lean shakes was all he asked me to make him. He was like, Mom, please make me another lean. Mom, can you make me another lean? So that was all he ate for 2 days, and he was not really hungry. He was just annoyed that he could only have liquids, but that was what he wanted, and that was what he ate. And he felt good on that. My youngest is 13. He will sometimes ask for an active in the morning. He's not really a morning person. He wakes up groggy and slow moving some days. And so he'll come down and ask me for an active on those days, and that helps give him a little burst. And he has a much better day at school when he does that. And then, of course, he also has active and hydrate when he plays sports. One thing I want to throw out there quick, though, is I hear people sometimes talk about concern with price of Plexus. And I like to remind you to think about what you're replacing. Like, we used to pay for all of those Gatorades and Powerades and Body Armors and all of that kind of stuff. And what we're paying for Plexus is not anything close to that. And the peace of mind of knowing that it's good, clean, healthy ingredients. And then lastly, Amy's already kind of mentioned it some too, but the peanut butter protein balls, must have. Keep these in the refrigerator all the time. We'll have Amy put the recipe in comments later or something, but I had made them for my boys before I knew about Plexus, but then now being able to add a couple scoops of lean to it and know that I'm giving them even better protein with those are great snacks. Sometimes it's a lunch, whatever, but those are great things for them to eat. My youngest has a little bit of anxiety, and so I've been looking at increasing how much he has active, but I've also been looking at starting him on some Vital Biome to see how that goes. And so on that note, I am going to pass the mic over to Kim Beasley, who actually has some experience with teens in Vital Biome. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I am a friend of Jenna's. We've served on PTAs and been friends for several years now. I have 15-year-old twins. They're in the 10th grade, and I heard about the products when Jenna got started. So I'm fairly new to all of this, and still trying out different things. I originally contacted her for myself. We're a pretty active family, and I've been running for about 8 years and was very serious for a period of time. Ran marathons, ran Boston in 2019, but then started having knee problems, ended up with 2 knee replacements. And then as I'm just getting older, I just turned 50, and all of the hormonal and fun things that come with that, was just having a much, much harder time just maintaining the fitness level that I wanted and that I used to have. And saw Jenna start posting about her products and was just curious about trying them, and started out with the active and really, really liked that right off the bat. I had tried some other products for pre-workout, and while they worked, I didn't like how they made my face just like flush. They got that sort of really hot feeling in my face as it was kicking in. And then I felt like it quickly got me up, but then just as quickly brought me back down. And I really liked how the active was a much more level feeling as I was doing longer runs and as I was working out. So that's how it started. Just, I think, sort of in the serendipitous way of the world, Jenna said, "Oh, by the way, the person that I've been working with in my Plexus is the new cross country coach for your son's team." And I was like, wow, how about that? So going into the teenage part of the discussion, my 2 kids, my daughter is off and on run cross country as well, but my son is the one who's been a lot more serious about it and has run for several years now, but it's just always struggled with nerves and the stress of running, and loved running, but never wanted to race. And it was just this constant up and down. He'd have a good race and then he would bomb a race. He'd have a good race and he would bomb a race, and could never eat anything beforehand because he gets so nervous, which then of course doesn't give you the energy to make it through the the race that you're running. And so he'd have a bad time and then he'd get discouraged. And I just felt like we were in just this cycle of he'd do really well in practice and then he'd have a horrible race and he'd feel bad and he'd feel, and it just was just this constant up and down for years. To the point at which he actually told me after he'd started this and things were on the upswing that he was seriously thinking about quitting and just didn't want to run anymore. So anyway, we started out this year and we were back on the same roller coaster of up and down, up and down, up and down. And he just wouldn't eat. He would get so nervous. He'd either throw up before a race and then he just wouldn't eat anything and then he wouldn't have the energy to get through it. So I was taking these products and wasn't looking at the probiotic aspect of it. I was just looking at the active supplements for my own self. But I guess I can't remember even now if I asked Jenna first about it or if I just asked Amy directly, but just asked her and told her what was going on with him. And she recommended one of the Vital Biome and then the Active and the Hydrate. And he was, and most importantly, he was at the point that he was wanting to try something. Prior to now, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I just don't want to do this. And but he was really wanting to also try something and make a change. So I feel like all of this kind of all came together at the right time. And so got him on these products. And I swear and this is the only thing that changed within a week. He started it on a Monday. And by that Saturday, he just blew away his PR. And it was amazing. I mean, he wasn't, because because of the probiotics had settled his stomach, he wasn't as nervous. He was able to eat more. And then that gave him the fuel to perform better, which then gave him the confidence to perform better. So then it's become a different cycle. I mean, I was on the phone with setting up mental health counselors or sports psychologists. I was trying to do all this stuff. And she even said, it sounds like it's more of a nutrition issue. If he can't get his nutrition right, it's not going to matter how much I talk to him from mental capacity. So just fast forward, it's been about, I guess, a month now. And he's like a completely different child as far as his confidence. He eats more than I've ever seen him eat before meets. He does the same thing. I'm still trying to figure out all the shipping and the timing of things. And I had run out of hydrate and he was freaking out about it because it was before a meet. So luckily Holly was able to lend me a few packs of it. So to make it through. So he does the same thing. He does an active and a hydrate before practice or before he runs, which is basically every day. And then he does the Vital Biome at night with dinner. And again, I mean, he's got races coming up this weekend. And I can tell you before last year at this time, he would have not wanted to do anything. He wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere part of this meet, right? It's a big region meet. There's, limited spots to make it into the next round. And he wouldn't have wanted anything to do with it. He would have preferred to have not been in this meet. This time around, he's excited. He wants to be at it. He's got times in mind. He's got goals. And I mean, it's just a completely different situation and child. And I hear him talking about it with other kids as well too. So if I could sign him up and get him on board, I would. But I hear him talking to friends and telling them what combination of things they should be taking as well. So he's really made a lot of improvements and strides with it.
That's great. And I put it in the chat, but I have noticed a big change in him, Kim. Like that first week, like you said, I could even see it at practice before the meet that he totally rocked.
I mean, he would come home and say, how's practice? And I was all right. And now it was like, I'll say how's practice and I'll say it was good. I did this and I did this. And yeah.
It's almost like he even seems happier at practice. Not that he seemed upset before, but he's like more into it.
Well, he just didn't have
glowing.
the confidence. He didn't feel like he belonged with this group of boys, right? So again, it's the greater nutrition, the greater confidence. And now because he has the confidence, he feels like he belongs and is part of this group.
Yeah, so awesome. It's been wonderful to watch as a coach, that's for sure. Yeah, so I am gonna kind of close up the call, but I do want to, I mean, you don't have to leave. You can You can stay. You're all welcome to stay. I want to open it up for questions if anyone has a question. And as far as sharing the science, I think we can go with questions for that. I was sitting here thinking, like, if anyone wants to know the science behind a certain product, you can just ask me and I will answer. And also, I will share, I'm on Facebook. You can find me on there and private message me any question you have anytime. Happy to answer that way too. So what age are the products in general labeled for? Okay, so good question, Cindy. So we have kids products. We actually have kids products. We have a kids chewable, which is a vitamin and a probiotic, and we have a kids microbiome drink that also has omegas in it for brain health. Those are the only two products. Oh, pardon me, hydrate and hydrate. Those are the only three products technically labeled for kids. And that's just because we have to follow the FDA rule. Kids products can only be labeled for kids. Like you'll see Flintstone vitamins are labeled for kids, right? It's the same idea. It's not saying that the other products are dangerous for kids. We just can't label them as kids products because they weren't made for kids, if that makes sense. You can always, if you're concerned, you can take the information sheets to your pediatrician. My pediatrician has approved all the products, loves all of them, and says, keep them on these. These are awesome. So you can always do that if you're wondering if a certain product is good for your child. So are there any other questions? And you can ask a question to any of us, the four of us. And I see Amy's pediatrician approved. Yep. Yeah, Wesley, actually, I should share, he had terrible eczema. You see those, you see bad eczema, right? Pictures of it. It's on TV, it's on the internet. Wesley had that. Wesley had insanely bad eczema. It was crazy. And we were trying steroids and steroid cream for over a year. That was around the same time that I got Ashley started on the ProBio 5 and her ADHD got better. I got Wesley started on the ProBio 5 and his eczema went away and has not returned. So healthy gut, healthy skin. Oh, Cindy, yes. Get him started on ProBio 5. It will help his eczema. So Wesley doesn't need any creams anymore. Like it has not come back. I love helping kids heal from eczema. You can also use the body cream too if you need to. And we did that when he still had the rash, but he hasn't needed the body cream since. So, any other questions? I just did ProBio 5. I see Cindy's question said just ProBio 5, not BioCleanse, because he does not suffer from constipation at all. So if he had gotten constipated as the gut was getting healed, getting healthy, I would have added the BioCleanse. And sometimes that does happen when the ProBio 5 is pulling all that yeast off of the walls of the gut and really getting in there and healing it. Sometimes constipation can happen for a child, and then you need to add the BioCleanse. My kids haven't needed the BioCleanse. Maybe a couple times they have, but overall they haven't. But I have helped several kids that do need it, and every night they take the BioCleanse, and it's totally safe. It's magnesium and vitamin C, totally safe. So ProBio 5 and Vital Biome, we got that question, one of my favorite questions. What's the difference? So Dawn, good question. So ProBio 5 is the Plexus probiotic that has the antifungal and digestive enzymes in it. So if you have candida yeast in your gut, which most of us do, we are born with it. The candida yeast is what God gives us, a tiny little bit of it to decompose our body when we die, but it grows when we feed it sugar. So it gets out of control because we all eat sugar, right? I mean, it happens. So other things feed the yeast too, but I won't get into that. But the digestive enzyme in the ProBio 5 that breaks through the cell wall of the yeast and the antifungal kills it, gets the yeast out. And therefore, all the symptoms that come from yeast overgrowth go away when you take Probio 5. That's why my irritable bowel syndrome went away. That's why a lot of people don't have migraines anymore. A lot of people can lose weight because when you have a lot of yeast in your gut, it keeps you from losing weight. You get that yeast out, weight loss is a lot easier. One of my favorite things as a personal trainer is just getting someone started on the triplex and getting the yeast out, then they can lose weight. Anyways, so Probio 5, it also has good bacteria in it that it helps the gut get healthier too, repopulates the gut. That's Probio 5. That's the one that's going to kill the yeast and repopulate with good bacteria. Vital Biome was made to target the serotonin in our gut. Serotonin is the stress hormone. 80% of our serotonin is in our gut. It's not in our brain. Our stress hormone's not here. It's in our gut. So when people get nervous, they're like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick. I'm so nervous. That's because of the serotonin in their gut is freaking out, making them feel sick. Vital Biome balances that with probiotic, with strains of probiotic. It balances the serotonin in our gut. Long story short, I could get more scientific if you want, but and it doesn't have the yeast fighting ingredients. If you would feel that you need those also, then you take both. I do take both, but not everyone doesn't necessarily need both. So hopefully that answers your question. Oh yeah, Cindy, Vital Biome. I call it my chill pill. My chill pill. So it chilled out your husband. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I guess that's all. I guess we can stop. If anyone else has a question, feel free to reach out to me. And if it's a question for Kim or MC or Jenna, I will pass it on to them. But thank you all for being on. And I guess we'll end the call. Oh, I guess I should say real quick, if you want to get Plexus for your teenager, reach out to us and we can help you get started on the correct product for your teenager, or the correct products for your teenager. Because it really is different for every person and every teenager. It's not the same. Not everybody needs the same thing. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll help you guys get started. But thank you all for being on.